Welcome to the Date Forever podcast. Keep your relationship fueled up with strategies discovered by couples and experts. Because at Fuel Collective, we believe better relationships will equal a better world. You are about to discover specific insights and tools that cost little or nothing to implement to help you date forever. And now, here are your hosts, a couple who always have a half-packed suitcase and a date night in the calendar, Sammy and Nathan Yeager.
Welcome to a brand new week of Date Forever. In this week's episode, we're chatting about some lessons from two long-term business partners that we can translate over into our relationships, the weekly, monthly, and quarterly rhythm for staying on the same page, and how core values alignment helps keep you in sync. But before we get into that, Sammy, what's been fueling you up this week?
Ooh, another lockdown week done.
Yeah. Well, that's a win in itself, isn't it?
With an unknown number to go. My lockdown highlight was my beautiful girlfriend Jess's 30th birthday.
Yeah.
It was her day of birth on Friday, and we had a little Zoom chat, and I got to give her a really lovely gift.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then her actual birthday party on Saturday night, also Zoom hosted. We're in different states, so I had been planning to travel to little South Australia to go and be there for the party, but the party got cancelled. COVID cancelled.
Yep.
But yeah, so the highlight was just spoiling my friend for her birthday. It was really nice. And
yeah, and you got to hang out over Zoom and play a few games and things like that too, yeah?
Yeah, and we got dressed up and did a virtual escape room, and we just did more than like a normal Zoom catch-up. Like, we made intentional effort for it to be a Zoom party.
Yeah, and I think that does make a big difference rather than just hopping on Zoom and having a chat. Feels like there's probably a bit of intention around what you set up.
Yeah, so that was probably the highlight. But I also made a lot of effort to get outside and move every day last week. Yeah. So I was feeling a lot better this past week than I had in previous lockdown weeks. Yeah. So I'm going to try and stick to that. What about you, Nath? What fueled you up this past week?
I think the thing you just touched on there was definitely one of the things that fueled me up, was getting out of the house and enjoying some of the beautiful sunshine that we've had here in Sydney.
Yeah, slithers of outdoor.
Yeah. So I got out on my bike for the first time in probably a month or more or something like that, which was really nice. And then doing a bit of virtual exercise as well by watching the Olympics has been pretty cool too.
Spectator Olympics.
Yeah. Spectator exercise. The other thing that fueled me up this week too was spending some dedicated time on Sunday working on our business too, and feel like we made some really good progress, and we started to pull together a whole heap of really great freebies for all of you guys, for all of our audience.
Yeah, go check them out.
Yeah. So we've collated all of our freebies that we've got at the moment. So jump onto our website, fuelcollective.com.au/freebies, and go check them all out.
Yeah, it's packed full of like templates and checklists and agendas and all the different kind of things that we've made available to our community over the past year or so, and they're totally free.
Yeah.
So if you want to add a little bit more fuel to your relationship, go take a look.
But now, here's this week's guests.
Today we've got Karyn McRae and Helen Lynch from McRae and Lynch Interior Designs. Helen and Karyn started their design business after graduating from full-time study at the Design Centre Enmore, where they first met. Over the years, their business evolved from a small part-time suburban design team while bringing up their families into their well-established and successful design company. Since setting up their first design studio in Sydney, they have covered all facets of design, including residential, commercial, medical and hospitality design. That later led them to a stint of designing cruise ships for Carnival, Australia, where they were thrown in deep water designing and drafting and liaising with traders worldwide while managing the procurement of designs throughout the first fit-outs of the dry dock. With their vast knowledge and 25 years of experience in the design and construction industry, they quickly learned that thoughtful, thoroughly prepared and well-documented design is key to attaining a successful result. After hearing lots of their clients reiterate, "We wish we'd found you sooner," is what inspired them to put that knowledge out there and develop their own online course in educating the home renovator on how to tackle their renovation with confidence and clarity to achieve great results. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having us today.
Hey, so this is a little bit different because the two of you are business partners, not romantic partners.
That's right. Although we have been mistaken for being romantic partners, understandably.
So we'll set that record straight up front. Not romantic partners.
So we said in your bio that you met way back at design school. When was that? Give us a bit of a timeline.
Over 25 years ago now that Helen and I met. How we met, on that very first day of tutorials, I was running late, which is very opposite to our partnership.
Because I'm usually the one
Helen's
that's running
usually
late.
the one that's running late. So I was the last to the door and, room full of people, couldn't see a spot to sit. It's your first day of uni, you're all nervous, and then this hand is raised up the back of the class and she pointed to, there's a seat up here. So that's how we met, and
Love at first sight.
friendship developed from there. And throughout uni days, we were thrown together as collaboration, working on projects together. And then by the time we got through the years, the teachers were automatically putting us together. So we kind of figured from way back then that we had a good working relationship.
And so tell us a little bit about your business.
Oh, well, okay. So our business is interior design and we also draft as well. So technically, the best way to describe it, dare I say, is more like interior architects.
Yeah.
We can't call ourselves that because legally we're not architects. So it's tricky for us because people just think that all we do is decorating and colours and cushions, but we actually do design and draft. And so I guess what that means is we focus on the space, the layout inside the home or office space or whatever it is. So it's a very spatial exercise, I guess, making sure that everything fits in, a bit like a puzzle piece, making sure everything flows well for the client. We take a brief from them, we understand what their needs and wants are, and then from that, use that as a basis to create a space that works both functionally and is aesthetically pleasing to them.
Yeah, so as a team of designers, we design and draft, and we also collaborate with other architects, so we can do that whole project from concept right through to construction and make recommendation of builders, so we can do as much or as little as the client wants. So, yeah, that's pretty much what we do.
Yeah, amazing. So what roles do each of you play within that business?
Well, your names are on the outside, so...
Well, basically... we take on all roles, really, I guess. We are now trying to externally delegate some of the roles because the busier we get, the more pressure that is on each of us to perform. I guess our skill set is pretty equal. We both are happy to learn new things and take on new tasks. We're not frightened of a challenge. We're not frightened to do the menial things and also do the designing. So, for example, at the moment, because we're producing we're about to go into launch for our online course. Obviously, the preparation involved in that, as you know, is quite intense, and there's lots of social media and background stuff that you have to do on your website and all of that sort of stuff, the content, the slides, the whole bit. So that's going to take us away from our clients. And so what we've kind of done, Karyn's been handling all that side of it, all the website and all that nitty-gritty stuff, and I've been focusing on the design and drafting with our clients. And, sometimes every now and then the percentage might change. There might be, but at the same time, the two of us are running things by one another on either side of either client projects or working on the business. But
we're pretty much interchangeable too. I think we have such a good synergy and working relationship that even though one of us is focused, Helen's focused on the design and drafting and keeping that side of the business, I guess you call it the bricks and mortar side, the service side, up and continuing with that. And then I'm focusing on the new venture. But we can at any time, because we communicate and let each other know what's going on, that we can jump in and out of each other's roles.
So one of the reasons that we wanted to have you on the show is just the length of your working relationship, your business partnership. I feel like it's becoming less and less common to have those multiple decade-long business partnerships. So we would love to know a little bit about how that started. How did you first decide to go into business together?
It was pretty much, we graduated obviously at the same time. Helen, unbeknownst to her, was pregnant as we graduated. So went off and had family, and then Helen and I went and worked for an architectural firm just part-time and did smaller projects with Helen on the side. And built that up over the years. Helen has 3 girls, I have 1 of each, and had our families while trying to, keep a foot in the door, as they say, in the design industry, because you don't really want to remove yourself completely because it's such a fast-moving things, new products, new things to keep up to date with. So built that along the way. And then when I had Corbin, my second one, when we had him and he was all ready for school, still doing smaller projects, but then sort of took the leap as the kids got that bit more older. We were always hands-on mums, and built the business around the family. And I think that's what's been, we have very similar ethics and morals, and it's always been about family and children and relationship building, and that's sort of stemmed from
I think our priorities are very similar, and I guess that helps because we have similar focus, similar priorities with our families. Then it's a lot easier to understand if one can't do something or be somewhere at that time, and
that's where the interchangeability works for us, because if one needs to be with the family, then the other one can step into the other's role. So that's a.
And I guess the older our children became and the less they relied on us as mums, then the weight of, family versus business tipped, I guess. And now it's full on.
So what did that conversation look like at the beginning about getting on the same page about what it was you were going to go and create together?
I think we have, one of us will bring an idea to the business and discuss it with the other and make sure that is in line. Say I bring an idea in, and quite often we, shout, I've got an idea, let's run with this. What do you think?
Or Karen's catch cry, Helen, I've just had a thought. I've been thinking.
When we have some lunch, let's stop and have a break and look at it and see if it falls in line with where Helen sees the business going as well. So it's the discussions of some most of the time we run with each other's ideas and then discuss it, work it through, and then work it into the business as a partnership.
It's kind of like any relationship, say like a couple's relationship or whatever. You've got the early stage, you meet, you hit it off, you enjoy each other's company, you seem to connect on a deeper level, I guess, and then you go through and you start doing things together and you kind of discover, I guess, that, we were able to really bounce ideas off one another and encourage one another to further enhance those ideas, I guess, and support one another, explore them, that's a good word. And then I guess from there, then obviously our families, our own individual families being pregnant and producing kids, and that was a high priority for each of us. We kind of went in at that point, in that intense point when our children were very young babies or whatever, our relationship kind of took a bit of a break, not intentionally and not for any specific reason other than we had a different focus at the time. And Karen was slightly behind myself in the child rearing days. So I guess it was kind of weird. I think there was probably maybe a year or two where we didn't really speak to one another and didn't have much to do with one another. It was more we were both focused on our own things, and then once we kind of got through that, something would come up and then we go, oh, hey, why don't we do this together? And it's just grown and developed, I guess, from there, like any relationship does, I would imagine. Yeah.
But it sounds like the two of you have some pretty solid underlying kind of core values that you both share, and throughout this whole period you kind of had and shared those values, which is allowed you to work together so well.
Absolutely, yes, I agree 100%.
That's why we, on reflection, having those similar family values and morals, and obviously supportive husbands. It's worked. It's worked together. So
I guess we've had the perfect recipe for a successful business partnership, I guess.
It does get questioned all the time, because a lot of people, when they hear that we met at uni and we're still in business together, you get those quite shocked looks. And I think for Helen and I, we think it's normal. Like, why can't people have a long business relationship? And maybe it's that interchangeable roles and that works for us.
So I think that's a really interesting parallel to building a business and then building a romantic life together. There's so many things that overlap. Like, you still need to run a budget. You still need to be going in the same direction. You still need to have overlap of core values. You still need to have the same sort of intent and the willingness to collaborate as a team and have ebb and flow and those kind of things. So do the two of you have a process for staying on the same page about about where you are and where you're going?
Oh, I guess I would never have kind of thought of it as a process, but now that you've put it that way, it's kind of made us sort of think, is there a particular process that we're running through? Our initial thoughts on that, to answer that question, would be a mutual respect, which is kind of what you were saying with the core values are similar and what have you. And I think if you have that mutual respect, then you tend to be able to listen to the other person and really hear what they're saying and value their opinion or value their ideas or what they've got to say. And the other person has the same for you, and also like a trust as well. So I guess it comes naturally for us, and I guess that's because we do have that mutual respect and we do have that share the same values, the core values. But I guess what we do is share a lot together. We overshare and run things by one another all the time, and to the point where both of us think aloud. And if we're trying to resolve an issue or have a challenge that we're working on with a design, or whether it's a bit of content that we're writing, we'll be sort of talking to ourselves, and quite often we'll answer our own questions, just having the other person in the room with you to sort of support you in that, I guess. And then kind of go, what, are you talking to me, or did you ask that of me, or are you asking yourself? Like, oh, no, don't worry, it's just me thinking aloud or whatever. And it happens more often than not with us. So I guess for us, we're constantly checking in with one another, or we go heading in the right direction, or I've got this idea for your project that you're working on. What do you think? Blah, 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 blah. And often with everything that we do in our business, whether it's working on the business or working on a project,
it's all discussed.
We discuss it and we run ideas by one another.
And that's how the day usually starts too, discussing, family time and what's happened at home, and then jumping into the work stuff. So everything in this office is discussed. So relationships, whether it be at home or here or clients or what we're working on, we talk it through always.
We call it our therapy session in the morning. So we've got the shits with our husbands or our children from the night before. It all comes out.
So it probably helps that you're both verbal processors then.
I think so, yeah, definitely.
And I think both our husbands are very happy that we have each other as well, that we can verbalize everything with each other and not always with them.
Yeah.
So do you have a rhythm or a pulse or a structure around having those bigger conversations around like setting goals or directions for the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess with the structure in the business, we do it, I guess it's the same thing, it's just more formal, I suppose. So every Friday afternoon, we'll sit down on our own at the end of the day or at a time during the day when we've got a moment to think. And we list all the time. We always have our tasks listed.
Yep.
So we'll go through and we go, okay, I'm at this point in this project. I need to achieve this, and this next week. That's got to go on hold. That's slotted in there. So we've got the week ahead planned. At the same time, you have to be flexible, especially with our line of work, because a lot of it's dependent on the client and how ready they are to process what we're offering them or what we're showing them. Karyn will do the same on the Friday afternoon. Then on a Monday morning, we usually sit down after our therapy session, bitching about our husbands and families. It's not all bitching.
They're all lovely people.
That's not all bitching. It's nice too. Then we sit down over a cup of tea and
map out the week.
Go through the week, what we've got on, and
then ask each other. And then ask, do you
need any help with something?
Is there anything, work out the priorities and then work out who can help one another, each, where we can step in and help out to reach our deadlines for that particular week.
Yeah. And then on a monthly basis that we reserve the last week of each month to work on the business. And deal with, like the financial things and budget planning and where we're at with our finances. And, if we are in a bit of a lull, what are we going to do to gain more projects and things like that. And then on a quarterly basis, we have our mastermind.
We're in a mastermind,
So we go to that we attend, and we have a 90-day plan. So we'll do that together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So as a romantic relationship, we have some of those very similar rhythms. So our Friday afternoon is a Sunday night. and we stand in our bathroom and write up on the tiles, like, what's on for the week? How many podcast interviews have we got on? What have you got on for your day gig? What have you got on for your day gig? What are we doing in our business? And what are the priorities? And then what are the things that we need to do for our household to run? Like, do you need to call a maintenance person about something? Is there a gift we need to buy? Is there a those kind of ad hoc kind of things that aren't necessarily predictable, like take the doggo to the vet or those kind of things. But we find that weekly, like doing it on a Sunday night, putting it up in the bathroom where we see it, every time you go to the toilet, you're looking at that list, provides a really great structure and framework to keep us across what each other are up to and what the priorities are for the week.
Absolutely. That's the only way to do it. Some people might go, oh, that's a bit overplanned, and you just go with the flow. But I think life is so chaotic and hectic at times. And then, between us, we've got the 5 kids and the husbands and the business and stuff. And you need to sort of know what each week, each month, each quarter is bringing, and set those goals together, and then reassess, as we said, daily, weekly, and to help you move forward.
And I think it allows us that opportunity too to be able to kind of allocate tasks to each other, to be like, all right, I'm going to take priority on this thing, you're going to take priority on this thing. And it kind of gives us, a good to do without having to always check in with the other person. Like if something comes up, it's like, oh, am I going to do this or are you going to do this? Whereas we kind of have that already mapped out and we kind of know what our priorities are. So how did the two of you kind of divide and conquer, and like, do you have a similar process? Or?
Yeah, we do. We've got a big whiteboard in the office where we have all our projects listed on display, and any due dates or whatever. We kind of allocate ourselves an estimated due date for each thing, which not only keeps us on track with the projects and where we're at, it allows us to see, oh, okay, Karyn, you've got a project coming up and your deadline's next week.
Are you on
How
track?
much of that have you got?
Do you need help?
What can I step in and help you meet that deadline? And we'll often jump in because our projects are all up and down. 1 minute it's sort of runs slow, and then the next minute the client's sort of on your case and goes, oh, I need this, I need that, and they're coming through with the builder or whatever it is. So we understand that there are points in the project where we do need to help one another and step in, and then we'll put our projects on a lower priority, get the important one done, and then move on. Yeah, so our whiteboard is very helpful. Just a visual thing like your toilet.
Our bathroom wall.
Bathroom wall.
But I think with the client work, when we go to meet a new client, the divide of the work, it tends to happen organically. A client will be, drawn more to Helen or to myself, and then that project will take off under me or Helen. And then, as I said before, if need be, we can swap in and out and help each other out. So, it is divided, it is mapped, it's in our faces, but then it has a sense of organic to it as well. You've got to be flexible as well. It flows.
And I guess, I know we're talking about business, but I guess the same things, like, you were saying, apply to a loving relationship.
I do love you, Helen.
A romantic relationship.
Yeah, romantic. That's the word I'm looking for. Because we do it in business, but we take it for granted on the personal side, because I think what happens is people get caught up in that I've done this and I've done that, and why can't they see that I need help with this? And we expect, I think, too much of the partner, and then you get stressed, and then when you're stressed, then you fight, and all sorts of things happen. Whereas I think with our business relationship, and on a personal relationship, because we are good friends, we consider each other good friends, or sisters, if you want to call it that. Yeah. Definitely. Again, I think it really comes down to that mutual respect and, and communication, and saying what you think, and, asking the question, are you okay? You seem really shitty today. Have I done something wrong? No, it's not you. So I guess, but you trust each other enough to know if somebody says, no, it's not you, then you accept that and you go, all right, I'll back off and give you some space and I'm here if you need to talk about it or whatever. So, and we like that with each other.
So as a business, there is like you are on the same team and really you're supporting each other to assume some goals in growth or in revenue or in profit or number of clients or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve together. And I think sometimes we lose that for our like romantic relationship if we haven't got like clearly articulated goals, that sense of like this is where we're trying to go. Sometimes it can be easy to forget that you're on the same team.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree, Sammy. And that's what, the business relationship works really, really well. And you're right, we can apply those principles to your personal relationship too. You need to have those common goals. You need to discuss. And you need to write things on the bathroom wall for it to gain that, to get to 25 years in the relationship, to go the distance. You can't be on different pages. You have to, you have different wants and different likes, dislikes, but it all needs to be discussed.
So in that team, I assume that even though you're both verbal processors and you love each other a lot, there must be times where there's conflict.
Oh, always. Yeah. Absolutely. Not always.
Not always.
Like any loving relationship.
Yeah. So how do you navigate it? What are the...
Well, I think for us, it's knowing and having a sense of, is Helen a bit down? Is something wrong with her? Is it like...
There's a lot wrong with me.
Is it me? Have I done something wrong? And then being the verbalizers will usually say, I'm not in a good mood today. I don't know what it is. And, something might have disrupted my headspace at home or whatever, or something external. And then Helen knows to, as she said before, give space, and she'll be the cup of tea maker for the day, just to take care of when you're not in a good space. But conflict over the years between the two of us, to be honest, there hasn't been a lot. It's just we get really... When we're super overworked and we're under the pump with a lot of deadlines, like any business or any relationship, you get tired and you get a bit snappy, and we might snap at each other, but then you kind of take a step back and go, oh, hang on a minute, we're just tired and we're worn out, and then we will build into the next week or the week after that. Okay, we need time out. We're overworked, we're tired, we're snapping at each other. Let's go to the movies. Not that we can now in COVID time, but we'll plan like a lunch or something nice to do. And just take ourselves out of the office, go for lunch, have a drink, or even to go for a walk and just talk about other things, the business always, but, other things as well. So just taking care of one another and being aware that, life's not sunshine and rainbows all the time, and we are going to have those conflicts, and just how to manage them.
And look, you've got to know to agree to disagree as well.
Absolutely.
And I guess with a business, if we do come up with a conflict that's related to a project or maybe a business goal, and again, I keep saying it comes back to that mutual respect and that trust in one another. So I might be really adamant about that. I think if we do X, this is what we should be doing and this is the right way to do it. And Karyn will be, well, no, I think Y is the way to go. And she's just as passionate and just as committed to that as what I am with my idea. We will debate it, and it,
compromise.
We'll debate it,
weave it in,
and even like you'll hear the tension in out the anger, but you'll hear the tension in each other's voices, like going like, But at the end of the day, I guess we go, okay, well, that's your opinion, and that's what you think, and this is my opinion. We both seem to have this ability to then go, okay, we're in this together. This is the end result we're trying to achieve, which we're both right. We're never wrong, but we're both right. We're both right. But which one is going to best suit
or parts of the other idea
at hand? And sometimes we'll combine. All right, well, I'm not going to give up on this aspect of it. I'll let go of this. And then I'll go, well, all right, well, if you're going to have that, then why don't I put that in? So sometimes we will combine.
It's a melding of ideas.
And if we're really stuck, then we know just to walk away from it and try and take a completely different tact, I guess.
So what would you say are the things that you exercise or practice within your working relationship that help you be that really strong team?
Okay, as a business relationship, and there's the two of us, it's the two of us 24/7. You go home thinking about the business, you bring the business in during the day. So I guess to reinvigorate the two of us as a business relationship, we network. I think that's key to the success of any. We can't just rely on each other as well as much as we do. We've joined a mastermind where we're networking and working with like-minded business people. And what that does is bring new ideas, new energy back in, and it refuels our business and our partnership at the same time. So it's like your personal married relationship. I've got a great relationship with my husband, but I'm still an individual under that. And, you go out with your friends and you have, your girlfriend time. And same with Helen and I, like you go off, go network, mingle and mix with other business people, and then bring it back together. And in a room full of networking people, Helen's off talking to someone, I'm talking to someone else. And so we're bringing those ideas back to the business again and have that discussion and work out what works for our relationship, our business relationship.
One of the things that I did while I was studying, so I studied project management, specialising in events, and I spent a lot of the first sort of part of my career volunteering, like trying to get into the industry. And I volunteered on heaps and heaps and heaps of different things. And even once I started professionally working in the industry and getting paid, I continued to, and I still do, volunteer on events. And one of the things that I get out of it, people often ask, like, but don't you get paid to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I do. But I always get the opportunity to see how other people do things. And it's that continuous improvement of me and my professional skills, because I get this opportunity to like sort of peek behind the curtains and go, that's how they're running that registration system, or that's how they're running that supplier, relationship, or that's how they're running their loading dock inventory in and out. And it sounds so silly because people do things differently. And if you've done things in your household a certain way, even if it's just like the process that you go through to keep your fridge stocked and your pantry stocked, like starting to ask other couples and be like, hey, how do you guys do this? What works for you? Like, or same for like laundry, or like keeping your home clean, tidy, functioning, asking other people how they do things and bringing parts of that work for you into your relationship, allow you that like getting it a little bit better.
Absolutely.
It's like always room for improvement.
It's working parts, and your relationships are always moving forward, and bringing tips and tricks from other people is the same for our business. The networking, joining the mastermind, you're learning from other people, and you bring back what works for us, and it just drives you forward.
You try new things, and you kind of keep the relationship alive, I guess, by bringing fresh new ideas into it. And you do get into your own little routine, and you do get sort of stuck in certain ways of doing things that if it works, and then sometimes something new comes along and you go, I'll give that a go.
There's nothing better than learning, like for business, a new application or a new platform. And, it's good to bring the new and inventive stuff in, because as I said before, if it was just Helen and I sitting here day after day just with our heads down doing the same thing, we wouldn't be here 25 years later in business together if we didn't look outside of ourselves and brought things that worked for us back into the business.
And not only that, on another level, to keep the team working and alive and whatever, we tend to validate one another's input as well, because the last thing you want to feel is like you don't feel like you're working as a team if you feel like you're not valued or you're taken for granted or what. And I really don't think that we take each other for granted at all. We're very complimentary of one another's work and ideas and what we do, and we're very down on ourselves and pretty much take the piss out of ourselves as well.
You have to laugh too. Like, business can be super serious, and we've got to be creative people and come up with the goods and deliver the drawings and make sure everything functions and is decode and stuff like that. But at the same time, to enjoy what you do, you have to have a laugh, and you have to look out for one another and bring joy to each other's day and the business relationship.
And it doesn't, like I've said to Karyn several times, when I get up in the morning and go to work, I don't think I've ever kind of gone, oh God, I've got to go to work. No. I don't think I've ever done that. Yes, there are days where I think I wish I wasn't working today because I want to do whatever, or it's a beautiful day and what have you. But I don't think I've ever actually dreaded going into work. And I think that's because we take our work seriously, but we have a very lighthearted attitude towards.
We take it, as Helen always says, we take our work seriously, and our
But not
clients, but
ourselves.
not ourselves. You have to have a laugh. In the end, you have to have a laugh.
And we pick on one another, and and poor Karyn has to put up with me singing in the office all the time because I can't help myself.
I tell myself how lucky I am.
Yeah.
I think that's I really like that you've shared that, because if we find ourselves on the flip side of that going, oh, I'm not ready to go home, I don't want to be in this person's company, like that should be setting off some alarm bells. That should be what is it about this that I've created an environment or a relationship that I'm not content in and I'm not happy with, and it's not fueling me up and it's depleting my energy rather than replenishing it. So with that validation piece that you mentioned, John and Julie Gottman from the Gottman Institute did a heap of research on romantic relationships. And one of the things that they found in incredibly successful and thriving relationships was, I think they categorize them as like the masters and the disasters. And one of the things that the masters do is say thank you. Like, I think it's like 7 times a day, at least 7 times a day. And that creating that culture of applauding and appreciating your partner, romantic or business, is a really beautiful thing, because it's really nice to hear, like, thank you so much for doing X, Y, Z. Thank you so much for calling that client back. Thank you so much for taking the rubbish out. Thank you so much for cooking dinner. Thank you so much for the role that you play in this team. Like, it is important and it's valid, and it would be missed if it wasn't there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think the little things that we as a business relationship do is, walk in with a coffee for the other and I made soup on the weekend and I made extra, so we've got lunch today. And then that's caring, and you feel
like you're a team, you're a partnership,
so,
which is exactly
and thank
what
you.
it is.
Thank you for thinking of me and bringing lunch in for me today, and thank you for getting me a coffee. And like you said, thank you for making that call to the client because I'm not in a good headspace today. So it's being, saying thanks is it's not a hard thing to do, and it's so appreciated by the other person receiving it.
Yeah, that's great.
One of the things that I like, little maxim, little mantra, is like the things that you celebrate, appreciate. So the more that if there's a behavior or there's an action or something that you want to see more of, like, applaud it, like, and that will become more frequent. So if we can change gears just quickly to sort of close us out, you both mentioned that you're both married, you've got children. What are some of the things that you do in your romantic relationships to keep them fueled up? Who wants to go first?
Go first.
All right, I'll go first. I'm going to start out with business. If we've had a really long day, my husband is super caring and kind, and he knows how hard Helen and I work, and both Helen's husband, Brandon, and Wayne are super proud of what we do. Like, I'll go home and Wayne's run a bath and there's a Bailey sitting there because he knows we've been here for so long. So he takes care of me in that respect. And then I'll send him a text message during the day or pull up an old photo. Like, the photos come up on your phone and memories. And if it's he takes a good photo, let me tell you. I'll send it to him and say, oh, how good looking is this guy and how lucky am I? And just send him a text message and things like, little things like that. Like that dirty.
I love that. Sometimes dirty ones.
Yeah, keep playful.
I don't know what she's talking about. I think it was an autocorrect on the message, right. And then I'm sitting on the opposite side.
Completely.
And I'm laughing, and Helen's like, what are you laughing? And I said, I just sent Wayne a nice message, but it's just come out completely. Just the little things, just like a note or a message or what are we doing on the weekend? And, let's do this. And we go for a walk together every weekend. We've got, the kids are 20 and 22 now, so they're quite self-sufficient, lockdown and COVID. But, he's a mad surfer, so he'll pick a day to surf, and then he and I will go for a walk with the dog and then have some breakfast together and just spend some time just he and I. So, What about you, Helen?
Oh, Karyn. Look, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah. I think the both of us take our the practices in our business, I think, apply for home as we do. I would have to say the difference, and I've been married for 30 years, so I'm guessing it's stood the test of time, just to take a different tact from what Karyn has said. I don't think I've really thought too much about the little things that we do to keep the relationship alive. I think, again, it comes down to a mutual respect for one another. And I know my husband and I, over the years, right from when we were first dating through till now, we've always respected each other's individuality and independence. And I just remember when I was younger, I was actually a school teacher before I was an interior designer, and it was back when there was only 3 terms a year. So we had like a week of holiday before Christmas, unlike now for a couple of days to do everything. So I used to take myself off with my girlfriends that I worked with, and we'd have a week away at the end of the school year together, relaxing, unwinding before Christmas hit. And he would often get work colleagues saying, oh, well, what you let your wife go away with the girls? Like, that's insane. You know what she's getting up to, don't you? And he'd go, no, I trust her. Like, it's
He's
not
reading a book and having a glass of wine with her.
Absolutely. And he's played water polo ever since I've known him. And every year the water polo team would take themselves up to Raymond Terrace and have a water polo competition for the weekend. And I would have some of the wives saying to me, oh, we want to come this time. That's not fair that you've left us at home. And I said, do you really want to be there on a water polo weekend with a bunch of, there was a girls team that would go with them, but it's like, do you really want, I don't want to be there for that. Like, I'm quite happy to have my own time at home. So I think that respecting one another and respecting each other's individuality and independence is a key thing for me. And look, it's not always sunshine and unicorns and rainbows, as Karyn says. There are times, because stress does hit when you have children. There's an elderly parent that you've got to take care of. If you're trying to juggle work and young kids, and
there's a lot going on.
There are so many stresses and factors that then come into your relationship. It changes over the years, and I think sometimes you do, as a couple, lose sight of all those little incidental things that we were just talking about. You lose sight of that. And I found, looking back, the times that my husband and I ever clash or really fight and argue is when we're both tired.
Just like in the business.
And
you and I
grumpy.
Tired, yeah.
If one's tired, the other one's got to clear it and they're okay, or they're not stressed, then their head's clear enough to go, okay, what can I do to help this person out? If
that's
you're both
work,
in this stressed headspace, then that's when you both clash. And I guess you need to learn to walk away from that. And look, I wish I had have known I know we do it in business, but having the tasks there, I think would alleviate a lot of that misunderstanding that couples do have with, I'm at home all day with the kids and I've got to do this and I've cooked dinner for them, now I've got to cook dinner for us and I'm waiting for you to get home from work and all these things that you feel like everyone's taking a piece of you, and then your husband comes in and you think, get your feet up off the lounge, whatever. You tend to miss those important moments, and it's like my husband will go, just ask me for help and I'll do it.
Because he will help you.
But then you expect them to know what's wrong. And I think that's a lot of relationships. That's if any moments that we've had that are, not so good, it's usually, a bit of a misunderstanding or not asking for help or sharing what your feelings are, I guess, within reason, because we tend to overshare. But other than that, I think those little incidental things is what really makes your relationship strong, I guess.
There were so many golden nuggets in that, but ask your partner for help. What a wild idea, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I think it's a mistake or an opportunity for growth for lots of us to not suffer in silence and get frustrated with the workload that we've maybe taken on. I think sometimes if you imagine a really big business that's got all of these different departments, and sometimes you don't even know what that department does. You don't really know. You know that they probably do something that's important, but you don't know. And sometimes sharing the transparency of we played this role in the process and this is how we contribute to the big picture. I don't think we often do that kind of thing with our partner and go, well, this is what I contribute to the team. And sometimes, I'm busy taking care of this, and this. You're so busy looking at your own list that you don't even have awareness of what's on their list.
Yeah, I think we all have that sort of tunnel vision and wear our blinkers, and you're right. You're so caught up in the stress of it all and what you're doing that you sort of tend to think, oh, well, okay, well, no, they're actually contributing in a different way.
But that's but don't you think having children, and as the kids get older and they can help out in the house, the whole family is a team. There's the relationship of Wayne and I, the whole thing started back with him and I, and then the kids come along, and then you go through those years of raising them and running a business at the same time, and Wayne and Brandon are out working, and then the kids are older, and then you instill and teach them that we're all a team, and if we all get in and help and be aware of what one another is doing and check each other's schedules, then the team moves forward faster together. And like we say to the kids, if we all get in and spend 15 minutes cleaning up the house together, then your mother and father aren't doing it for an hour. So, it's kind of looking at the whole relationship as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that.
Ladies, this has been such a great chat. Thank you so much for letting us take a peek behind the curtains of your business, and then also your relationship with each other, but then your relationships with your respective husbands. Really, thank you so much for sharing. We talked a little bit about taking accountability, particularly for what we've all got going on in our lives, but we also want to talk about being the change and taking accountability for what we have influence over in the big wide world. So to say thank you for joining us today, we've provided a month's worth of early childhood education to a class in Kenya. So thank you so much for joining us. That project is looked after by an organisation called So They Can, and we've made it possible via our partnership with Buy One, Give One. So thank you.
Perfect.
Amazing. Love that.
Thank you for doing
Love
that.
that.
That's lovely.
Thank you for having us.
Well, we really enjoyed it. It's delving deep into our relationships.
So, Helen and Karyn, if people want to connect with you or learn a little bit more about either of you two or your business, how should they do that?
Instagram, website,
McRae and Lynch.
McRae and Lynch, it's McRaeandLynch.com.au. We also have an Instagram, and everything sort of stems off from the website. So if you go and check it out there,
Or they could pick up and make a phone call.
Yeah, from
Have a
chat.
So ladies, we know that you've actually got an online course starting really soon. Can you tell us a smidge about that?
Yes, Well, we're launching the 4th of August. So we've got a free webinar coming up on the 10th of August, and leading into the online course. And the course is all about putting together the master plan for a successful renovation or new build. So the modules that we go through assist people who are building a brand new home or doing a major renovation. We've got guest experts. We talk about building budgets. We do due diligence with a construction lawyer. We have a stylist come in for one of the other modules. So it's like a team of us have come together to assist people. We call it the pre-design phase. So it's a course to help people save time and money and implement a strategy in order to save money when renovating buildings.
Yeah, because a lot of people that have come to us they don't know where to start and don't know how to plan for these things. It's a massive investment for them. And unfortunately, there's not enough information out there to enable them to plan carefully and get it right the first time. And they're making decisions on the fly throughout their construction, and that's when all sorts of disaster happens, and that's when, budget blows out or the architect misinterprets your brief. So we teach you how to formulate a really good, concise brief so that your architect, your designers, your builders are all on the same page and know exactly what it is you want. But it also helps you to clarify within yourself what you want. I mean, there's lots of reality shows
and ruin it.
and it gives people a misconception about what the whole process
A romanticized version, perhaps.
It is, yeah. It is. Exactly. It is what it is. It's entertainment, but unfortunately that gets misconstrued with reality. And so we've seen too many people make mistakes and lose a lot of money and in the process.
We have a lot of people walk through the door here that are sent in by a builder and saying, I need your help. I wish I'd found you, months ago. And so that's where it was all born from that, of seeing too many people waste so much money and extra time and budget blowouts. So through our 20-odd years in business, we've put it all together in an online course.
So hopefully we can reach out to many people and not just have our own clients benefit from their planning and careful.
Perfect. Sounds
all right, ladies, thank you so much for sharing all of the goodies.
Thank you so much for having us. You have a great week.
Thanks heaps for joining us. If you love what we're doing here and want more, subscribe to the Date Forever podcast to make sure you never miss an ep. Come and hang out with us and other awesome couples who are fueling up their relationships in the Thriving Couples Collective Facebook group, or check us out at fuelcollective.com.au. Until next time, keep on dating, because better relationships equal a better world.